welcome to the Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. My name is Stephen Einstein. Thank y'all for joining me today as we continue to go down this year of um, James Allen's daily meditations. Really been enjoying this year. June has been a very powerful month for myself personally, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we do halfway through the month. So here we go. This will be fresh to you and fresh to me, meaning this will be the first time I hear it or read the meditation for today. And you'll get my genuine response, reactions, and observations about what I relate to about the reading. So here we go. This is June 16th of James Allen's Daily Meditations. Man cannot immortalize the flesh. All nature in its myriad forms of life is changeable, impermanent, unenduring. Only the informing principle of nature endures. Nature is many and is marked by separation. The informing principle is one and is marked by unity. By overcoming the senses and the selfishness within, which is the overcoming of nature, man emerges from the chrysalis of the personal and illusory, and wings himself into the glorious light of the impersonal. Let men, therefore, practice self-denial. Let them conquer their animal inclinations. Let them refuse to be enslaved by luxury and pleasure. Let them practice virtue and grow daily into higher and ever higher virtue, until at last they grow into the divine. Only by realizing the God state of consciousness does man enter into immortality. Wow, that's again, June is proving to be a great month. I've been very just surprised regularly during June how much I enjoy and how deeply and powerfully the readings this month have resonated with me, almost every single one. And this is a big one. This is a huge one. Man cannot immortalize the flesh, right? Our bodies, uh, to give it some context, there's a saying that's around the recovery world, and in general too. I think there's a lot of in the spiritual realm of concepts, and it's that we are a spiritual being having a human experience or a mortal experience. So we're a soul and a spirit that is in control of a mind and a body. And when we immortalize flesh, when we immortalize anything material, it will always fail. It's always temporary. It's a losing battle. It's always going to fail. And it's a powerful thing to accept that at face value, to accept that wholly as well. Now, the main body of this starts off with all nature in its myriad forms, differing forms, plentiful forms of life is changeable, impermanent, and unenduring. It won't last. It won't last. The way something is right now, today, will change eventually. No matter what. No matter what. Anything that is material and of this materialistic or material world, whether it be a person, a thing, even a concept, maybe, you know, it is changeable, impermanent, and unenduring. It won't last. Only the informing principle of nature endures. So nature itself is temporary, but what the laws nature follows are not. Now, that can be a real mind bender, right? So that's really where the spiritual world lies is in front of the natural world, in front of nature. Nature follows rules like all energy and all things are it's a, can never be destroyed completely and totally, right? Like for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. Things like that follow the physical world of our um immediate experience. Those There's principles that are followed and disciplines that are followed that mother nature abides by. And those are beyond nature, are they not? Anything that nature follows must be outside of nature, conceptually. Nature is many and is marked by separation. So, nature is many things, it takes many forms, whether it's plants and trees, or bugs and animals, or human beings, and space, or um, the ground and the stone. Like nature has many different forms, and they're all separate from each other, though made up of the same things, right? But all separate from each other. The informing principle is one and marked by unity. The principles that Mother Nature follows, the principles that we have to follow, the principles that everything follows are united in as one, right? It brings everything back to a commonality. That's what these spiritual laws give us. By overcoming the senses and the selfishness within, which is the overcoming of nature. Because by human nature, let's say, for example, is selfish and self centered. We care about our own continuance and remembrance and legacy, and our own pleasures and contentments. So, to get over that, overcoming those senses, overcoming the selfishness, you overcome nature itself. When you start to align with a spiritual lifestyle, spiritual way of living, you start to step outside of these things, right? By overcoming the senses, which is overcoming nature, man emerges from the chrysalis of the personal and illusory, and wings himself into the glorious light of the impersonal. Like, so all of the things we use to define ourselves, all of the things that um, we attach ourselves to in this physical world, when we overcome them, we go into this world of the spiritual where things are impersonal. Like, it doesn't matter who you are; it's applicable. You know, it doesn't matter where you've been in your physical life. These laws still apply, and that's pretty amazing. Let men, therefore, practice self-denial. Don't always fulfill our pleasures. Don't make that our sole pursuit in life is to feel pleasure, as addicting and rewarding as that can feel. Self-denial. And I'm not talking about just usually the primary one of sex or drugs and alcohol. We're talking about overeating. We're talking about vain thinking, lustful thinking. We're talking about envy and jealousy. Practice self denial. Let them conquer their animal inclinations. All these things that come from the material animal side of us, right? We need to conquer them through walking this spiritual way of living. Let them refuse to be enslaved by luxury and pleasure, because that's what we do when we go out in pursuit of those things, and those of us who believe they've successfully obtained it in this external object, we become a slave to it. We become chained by it because we need it. We need the reward. We need the release. We need the things it can do for us. So when we conquer our animal inclinations and we remove those dependencies on things external to ourselves and place them on a God of our understanding and a power greater than ourselves, suddenly things change. And that enslavement to the physical and material is gone. Let them practice virtue and grow daily into higher and ever higher virtue until at last they grow into the divine. So when we correct our behavior, when we get when we're graced with the option to make a different choice, a better choice, and we take it, let us practice virtue. That is virtuous, to be full well aware and able to do the wrong thing as you've always done, as I've always done, but to practice virtue uh, in those moments and make the right choice, even no matter how small it is. It tells us it's the small ones that gain us momentum in this life, that gain us momentum in this journey. Let them practice virtue and grow daily into higher and even higher virtue. It's your character only grows and builds and refines, and as you go through this process and you grow and you mature and you change those little things by doing the right thing. And we conquer that animal inclination. We practice that self-denial until they at last have grown into the divine, until we have grown to a point where we behave righteously, Christ-like, where we've strove to be a certain ideal and we achieve it or are so close to achieving it. It's incredible how quickly that can actually happen when you fully devote yourself to working this type of a program and living this type of life. And then this last line, only by realizing the God state of consciousness does man enter into immortality. It's funny. It's one of those things where part of our animalistic behaviors and our instincts told us to always be concerned with our legacy. So we take these actions to help preserve our names, help to preserve our identities, help us make our mark on the world so we aren't forgotten. But the real way to become immortal, the real way to become impactful is like this. By living this way of life and achieving that higher level of consciousness, that spiritual embodiment. And you'll get more of a legacy than you knew was possible. Every time somebody gives up or somebody makes a sacrifice to do the right thing, you'll be amazed, sometimes, not always, how sometimes you're blessed immediately. You're given the opportunity to grow finally instead of be stuck. So, well, that'll be it for today. Thank y'all for joining me again for James Allen's Daily Meditation, June 16th. Absolutely loved the reading today. Absolutely loved that reading today. So I hope y'all enjoyed it as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing what tomorrow brings us. Thank y'all for joining on with me. Until next time. Thanks.